Daryl Hall and John Oates, and we can't go for that anymore. Folks, it's time for us to start waking up. It's time for us to tell those who think they know that they know nothing, and that we are not merely sheeple to follow. That's not going to happen. I think this video is going to be one that, well, it's another piece of an ever unfolding tapestry. I'm not calling it a puzzle anymore. I believe that the tapestry has been completed and frankly has been hiding right in plain sight. In this video, you're going to learn how they have been doing it and how we can now begin to change that. And how we're going to do this, we're going to solve their deception by using the very same things they've been using on us. And that's physics, science, math. Let me just tell you, folks, here's the deal. What our governments have known that they've hid from the public, it's all related, folks. Don't think for a second that this is by itself a standalone anomaly. No. And how they've done this is they've done this by the technology that has been brought from the outside. And when you see it, it's going to amaze you. We're going to be talking about frequency. This is the answer to the universe, folks. It's everything. God, you, everything is based on frequency. And I'm about to show you again how in frequency it is the same in the light spectrum, and how little we actually hear and see, and how they've been using it against us. We're about to take a little journey, so turn your speakers up high because you're about to find out it's not light, folks. It's frequency. Prepare. Do you see patterns? Do you see life? Do you see the double helix? Prepare, folks. By now your dogs are probably barking and you're going, what the heck is going on, Wayne? Stop. No, we're not stopping. You need to understand, this is what they've been doing. This is what they've been using. HAARP, everything, folks, is on frequency. Now, your dogs and the animals can hear that pitch. I can barely hear it, but now it's out of the human range. This is the point, folks. Look at this. So you can now see how important this really is. So you've been shown the secret of the universe. It's a fact. I'm going to show you something. And this information was given to me by a person whose family, was very much involved in the understanding of frequencies. You have your own vibration. Each of us do. I've told you this many times. The recent event of which I think that there was a star that passed the Earth this past weekend affected a lot of people. It affected all of us, in fact. You're not immune to this, folks. And if you think you are, you're just lying to yourself. That's all I can tell you. We have an internal vibration. We generate an electromagnetic signal, a field. That in itself is in line to everything around us. And it's all related, all of it. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's an inanimate object such as a rock, whether it is a flower, whether it is a living animal. All of these are directly connected to us. They emit a frequency. No, it's hard to believe. In fact, rocks actually retain within themselves where the magnetic polarities were, as it is within the universe. So you're asking to yourself, Wayne, what are you doing here? How in the hell does Roswell, New Mexico have anything to do with frequencies? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it was because of Roswell that the human species took an advanced leap in evolution in all ways, every way. So Roswell, boy, has there been a lot talking about Roswell. What was it that, that causes so much speculation? I'll tell you what it was. Ferro fluids, folks. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what are ferro fluids? Let me just kind of explain this to you. Imagine the ability, the technology to manipulate metal by frequency to make metal fluid, but yet increase the tensile strength, making it virtually impervious to any other force or matter. Imagine you're able to manipulate this so much that you begin to create within this environment an artificial environment. It is rumored that there are those who walk among us who, have known about this. The unfortunate visitors that were either shot down or crashed back in 47, God rest their spirits, had no idea what they were walking into. They may have been observing us, but maybe the high command didn't get the signal. We are a primitive race. We are vicious. We are, in fact, I think, as a species, should be quarantined. I think that's, in fact, what we are. Because things have happened Things have happened to us, our species. Things have happened to those who have ruled over us. Listen, you are a slave. There are those, I think, who are coming from the outside to try to rescue us. But don't you think for a second, the minute you were born, the minute you gave birth, if you're a woman, to your children, men that you helped give birth, your children, you understand where I'm coming from. All you've done is perpetrate the slavery. You are a number that has a dollar value. These people have known about it, and I think these outsiders have known about it as well. But how in the hell does this have to do with anything in the science of frequency? Well, folks, because if you have a greater understanding of science, you have a greater knowledge than the average person has access to, you have dominance. You will dominate them. And that's what the ruling elite have done. That's what this whole election is about here in the United States. Don't think for a second. You have a choice between two polar opposites. And here's the point. It's all about the frequency, folks. Everything is controlled by frequency. Think about this. Sound. Sound is nothing more than sound is by a vibration, which in turn is a frequency. Molecules are what? They're impacted by frequencies. That's how shape-shifting. That's the point to the previous slide. Let's go on. Light. Light is photons. Photons move in waves. Waves can be, in fact, frequency and vibration. How do you manipulate light? By vibration. Are you starting to get this? This is frequencies, folks. All serve the master of frequency. Everything on our periodic table serves the master of frequency. And if you know how to begin to manipulate frequencies, then there is no element, nothing, that you won't be able to harness and control. Fact. Energy, as I was saying, is waves. Waves are frequencies. We do it right now. We take the sun and we use solar energy. The sun is reacting to the same way. The sun puts out a frequency. Again, for review, you put out a frequency. Everything on this planet puts out a frequency. The earth puts out a frequency. The sun puts out a frequency. Every planet puts out a frequency. The universe puts out a frequency. It's all related. God is a higher frequency. You want to know why it's so difficult to find and to reach God? Because it's on a different frequency. You get yourself in tune to the right frequency, and I'll guarantee you'll be communing with God. So again, let's go back to Roswell and those Ferro fluids. What happened, folks, is this. When the U.S. Army found out the shreds of this craft, and they took them back, they could not figure out. That's why, when we saw, who is it? Who was the guy? Marcells, who was the one, Jesse Marcells, was the officer in that photo. And it is reported by his own son that it was what? That the metal was almost ultra-like. It had no weight to it all. It could be bent no matter how many different shapes, but yet it would always come back, but they could never get the pieces together. That was because they didn't discover what was in there, and that were these ferrofluids. So how does this relate to us today? Because of what we found out then, and because of what it is now here, it has advanced our understanding of the universe. It's the single biggest impact since the DNA invasion. And by the way, that is well documented in many, many sacred manuscripts. Metal reacts to frequencies. We've known this somewhat, but we didn't understand the whole concept that metal could actually be manipulated. It could be harnessed. And once it was harnessed, then you could actually begin to manipulate it. It opened the door to how we can travel through the cosmos without harming our bodies. Remember, The thing that Einstein said was that he said that our ability to get to sea was almost impossible. He never said that travel beyond sea was not possible. What he said was for a human being to literally get to sea, that the stresses of the forces within gravity in itself would simply, you would become spedified, stretched out to infinity. But Einstein didn't understand something. He didn't understand that if you could create, using the same technology, right, manipulating frequencies in all elements, that you could begin to generate an artificial environment. Now, here's the wild things, folks. Once you create this environment, consider it like a diving bell, right? Once you're inside the diving bell, you can now create another environment. These frequencies would basically insulate you from the forces and the stresses of travel, particularly in areas to be able to go past sea. It changed the understanding of physics, and it is changing the understanding of physics. More importantly, we learned how to move interdimensionally. Yeah, these crafts, I believe that a certain species of them have the ability actually to travel interdimensionally within these ships, with manipulating, again, the frequencies. And it is where we learned about artificial intelligence, because none of this is possible. Let me restate this. None of this is possible unless you have an artificial intelligence. We are not smart enough, folks. I'm going to do a video on why we're not smart enough. We don't have the capacity to do this. Only AI could ever do this, period. So how does this relate to Nibiru? Well, I'm going to show you folks what they're doing. And when you see this, it is going to absolutely blow your mind. You want to see how they're doing it? It's called electrochromatic. It's an electromagnetic universe, folks. Here it is, folks. Smart glass. Pay attention.
Smart glass illuminates environments, creating multifunctional spaces that adapt and respond to the needs of users at the flick of a switch. We collaborate with designers who innovate, challenge, and adapt, creating spaces that shine. Smart glass, right thinking. Each handcrafted smart glass panel is the perfect match for modern hotel design. From London to New York and Dubai, our products can be experienced in many of the world's best hotels. Smart glass instantly switches from transparent to opaque, creating a luxurious statement, providing guests with a bright, spacious sanctuary and privacy on demand.
Okay, are you getting it? All right, you're saying, Wayne, all right, how's this working towards getting us to understand? This is how cloaking technology works. This is how you make something visible invisible. This is how you spray metals ionized into the sky through the chemtrailing. The metals begin to react to a high frequency that you can't hear. Hello, HARP. It's not just geo-weather engineering. No, folks. They have the ability, as they're spraying it up in the sky, that as they can do with glass, that at a flick of a switch, by inserting an electrical impulse into the atmosphere, it therefore begins to activate the other particles. Thus, you may be thinking you're looking at the sun. You may be thinking you're looking at the moon. It doesn't matter. You won't know. And they've done this on a planetary scale. Simple, isn't it? Now that you know. Well, we are on the threshold. I'm going to let Van Morrison take us out, folks. We're on the threshold of exposing them. We're going to win on this. They can never kill all of us. Love one another, folks. It's the strongest weapon they can't come against. And together we're going to find out the deception. We're going to free ourselves from this, folks. We're going to make it. Be kind to one another.